Welcome everyone to the live stream. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing well out there. Jared, my co-pilot, is with me today. At least I hope he is, because he was having a few little connection problems. Jared, you there, bud?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, good. And the stream's coming across good. Audio and video both look good on YouTube.
Rock.
We're good to go.
Excellent. So how's everybody doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. I don't know, wherever you're at here in southern Alberta, it is windy today. It's like really windy. But we get that, and that's why our weather changes about every 5 minutes, so we can have all sorts of weather here. Anyways, we're going to get underway. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Gary Robillard. I'll be your guide, host, whatever you want to call me. And so we'll go through this today. Hey, there's a bunch of people on here. Hey, Natalie. Hey, Scott. Thanks for chiming in here. Let's see here. For those of you who are new to the channel, probably a good idea, if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel so you get notifications. And it kind of dawned on me that we probably get a lot of people that don't subscribe, but then they don't get notified when I change the date. Like, for an example, today we're doing it on Friday as Casual Friday, but instead of doing it 2 hours earlier, we're doing it 2 hours later. So what you'll do is at the end of the video here, or live stream, I will put in an email address you can email to subscribe to the channel or to the notifications. Now you can just subscribe and that's fine, but if you'd like an email notification like the morning of or the day before, just let us know, and because I send out emails to let people know about it. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And we're going to be putting up a landing page if you want to get an email notification for webinars and live streams like this, and just so you are in the know. All right, so let's dive into today. We're going to be talking about histories, and I think it's something that people take for granted. I know I do sometimes. You're busy entering data into ACT, and there's a bunch of stuff that's collected all over the place, and then we really don't do anything with it, or maybe we don't use it as leverage in our business to help us kind of get an idea of where we've been. So think of it this way: when we're using the ACT software, we're either doing one of two things. I mean, we're entering data in on an ongoing basis, but if you're creating activities in ACT, that's stuff that's coming up. So when you pull out your compass, it's like, okay, where am I going? And that's usually where you're using the calendar and different other things like that. And then where have you been is your history. That tells you what you've been doing, maybe what we've been doing wrong. For an example, if you create an opportunity and you clear that opportunity and you say, oh, we lost this, the history of that opportunity can tell you something. It can say, hey, looks like we've been not closing as much business as we usually do, and it's probably because of this or because of that or what have you. So histories can really help look at what are some of the trends, the things that are going on, and help you kind of move forward or make adjustments as you're traveling forward. So let's move to our next screen here. And so we're going to go through, first of all, we're going to go through the creation of histories, where they're created, and how they get into the system. So let's kind of go over here, and we're going to, first of all, histories are created by a bunch of different ways, and I'm going to show you a bunch. First of all, history. You'll see this history button right up here. This history button is what we call an ad hoc history. And what it does is it'll bring it up. Well, let's just, instead of going to me, let's go to our good old Todd Miller. Todd Miller. And then we're going to click on history. So we're going to just quickly show you how the histories get in there. And in this case, it's an ad hoc history. So what was it? we've got all these different types, and I'm using this advisor demo template. I mean, it doesn't matter what template you're using or how your act is configured. This is all the same. So you'd have different activity types, and say it was a call and the guy left a message, or you received a call. You can choose the history type that it's actually going to track on that record. So let's say it was a call was received. It was today. It was, let's say, 45 minutes, and the time was, I'm doing this a little bit past, but let's just say it was at 10:30 a.m. And then you can put a regarding. You can type a regarding in there, or you can use a drop down. You can even edit the drop down list, so you can add common things that you would use, like discuss legal points. If that's not part of your business model, get rid of it, just delete it. So I could just take that and go delete and move it out there. But add whatever items, quick type items that would work for you. And if not, you just key in whatever you want to key in. And then you've got your little area down here where you've got this little memo area where you can type in a small novel if you wish and format it any way you want, and press OK. And we'll just go in here, test 1, 2, 3, and then press OK. So then what you'll see on Todd Miller's record here is you'll see call received at this date and time, and we can even add in other columns in here. Move this over, and then we can add in other columns like the duration, for an example. So I'll just move the duration in there, move it up, press OK, and now you can see the duration was 45 minutes. So now you can actually see how long you've been with that. It depends on what you want to collect and how you want to collect it, but that's one way of doing it. The other way is from your calendar. And by the way, as we're going through this, if you have any questions, throw them on the screen, put in the comments. Jared may answer over the phone or over the connection, or if not, I'll pause and we'll have a look as we're going along. All right. So an activity here. So let's take this April 6th one with Todd Miller. Actually, let's create one for today, and let's just block off some time. And let's just say this was a to-do, and let's say this was at 11:30, and let's say this was a test 4, 5, 6, and we can put details in here. So any kind of activity that you have, when you go to clear the activity, it's going to create a history. If you don't clear the activity, it's not a history. So think of it this way. If you're the type of person that's using the Act Calendar, which I highly recommend, if you're using the Act Calendar, make sure you clear your activities. I know sometimes we'll get a new client and we'll go in and maybe they've used Act before, or they're currently using Act, and we go in there and they've got maybe they've been using Act since 2008, and you've got activities that go back to 2008. Not only does that slow down your Act by not clearing the activities, but it also, you've got this bulky thing that you should really clean up. And so the neat thing is when you clear an activity, it creates a history. So now what we've got tasks that say, hey, these are the things that are coming up. We've got history saying these are the things we've done. And when you create a history, if you're in a team environment and you clear an activity, it will show there. So if other team members need to contact that person, they can see that you've had some sort of interaction with that particular client at any given time, any given day, and they're up to speed. So if, for an example, if Jared called someone yesterday and I was going to call him about the same thing, I could see, oh, Jared already called him. I don't want to look like we're all stumbling over ourselves here. And so, it's kind of a synergy of information that allows us to all be on par with what's going on. So how does an activity clear? Well, there's lots of ways to clear an activity. You can just right mouse click, clear an activity. Up on the right hand side on your little bar here, when you have an activity, you can click the checkbox, and that will allow you to clear the activity. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to go to Todd's record just so you can see. I can right mouse click, and I think I'm already on Todd's record here. Sorry, I'm getting a little delay on the one screen. I'm going to go to Contact. And if you've never used the right mouse click button, over these things, you should probably get a feel for that, because it allows you to do a bunch of different things. I'm already on his record, that's why it's not jumping over. All right, so when we're going to go to the record, now you're not necessarily going to clear activities on the contact record. Typically you're going to clear them when you get an alarm that pops up, and we're not going into activities today, we're doing histories, but you'll either clear it on the when it pops up as an alarm, or you're going to clear it on your calendar, that sort of thing. But I just want you to see, I'm going to go over here to activities. Oops, I'm on the wrong screen. There we are. Where are you? There you are. Activities. And so here's the one. Oh man, yeah, we're going back a long ways here. Okay. These are things coming up. All dates, yeah. So I want May 6th. This is the one here, right? Or May 8th. Yeah, this is the one. So I can clear it just by checking this off. So you've got the May 8th one. And I'm just going to go blah, blah, blah. Press OK. It clears that activity and then moves it over to history. So if I got May 8th, there's our blah, blah, blah right there, test 456. So that's how the histories are created there. You can also, histories are also created when you create a letter, a document, and you save the document, you can create a history. When you send and receive emails, so if you got emails configured in ACT, your email connection to ACT, when you send an email out, it'll create a history. And so if we scroll down here on Todd's, you'll see these little paper clips. These are emails that are attached. So it could be an outbound email. If I look at this one, this was a email attached. Email sent would be one that's going out. And so you'll have a difference between, and you have different ways to configure your histories. You can for your emails, you can put them here. Hang on. There we are. You can see me a little better. You can actually configure them so that that they create just a subject line, subject and message, subject, message, and attachments. Well, we're not going to get into that today unless we have some time at the end and we have people that want to know that, and we can touch base on that. But those are the different ways that we can attach. So now going over here, we also have field changes and edits are also in here. So if we go to history, you've got the date range here, and these filters are really important to know about. So you can go through and filter this any way you want. Just be careful. Sometimes we get support calls saying, hey, I lost all my histories, and they just left a filter on and forgot about it, and then they go there and they're missing stuff. Just check before you call us, just check and see if you've got some filters on, because that's a lot of the times that's what the issue is. So you've got a date range. So if you wanted to find something in a specific date range for whatever, because you need to follow up on something, you've got your date range. You can select the different types. Now, I take off, and I'd recommend this, take system fields off. You really don't need that. This is like field changes. There we are. Field changes, security, sync, all that. I don't really need to see that. I mean, if you want to see it, leave it on. I personally don't need to see it. But I do want to see opportunity histories, e-marketing histories, email and correspondence, attachments, and activity history. So I want to see all of those histories. And so it's going to show all of those histories in there. And then you've got selected users. So you can select your stuff that you're dealing with. So maybe you're wanting to filter it out just to find, something that I sent out, not versus somebody else. I use this a lot where I'll filter it between the different users in the organization, and I just want to find out something I've sent, or maybe I need to find out something that someone else sent. I can do that, and then I can delineate this down based on the user. But I can also say I just want to see emails sent. Right? So I can just look for emails, take everything else off. So I can go none and say all I want is the emails. And you can even drill down even further with what type of emails. So I'm going to do it just based on emails. So here's the emails. These are just emails that were sent. So this allows you again to filter through to see, what has happened. All right, so let's put this back to all, and we'll take off system on there. There we go. The other place you can look at histories is the history tab on the navigation bar on the left-hand side. And this history, this is very similar in that the one shows just the history for that contact, where this will show history for everyone. So when I'm on the contact screen and I'm looking at the history, this is just history for that specific person. So if you need to drill it down, this is a great way to do it. If you need to be a little more broad, can't remember who it was, but you remember it was about something, you can go into histories this way. And then you have the same date range thing that you can choose from. You have the different types exactly the same. And I'll take the system fields off and watch this jump down. Yeah. And then you've got the users. And a keyword search, you can do a keyword search within there as well. It's okay. I mean, it's not the best search I've used, but it works. And by all means, try it. There's a better way to do a search, and I'll show you that in a second here for histories. So this is your history list, and you can, again, anything that has the option button on the far right-hand side, you can customize the columns and put whatever you want, like duration, I want to have the email address, whatever it is you want to put in there regarding and details. Hang on here. There. All right, and so now I'm getting a bunch of other things. I've got, who the company is with, what type of it is. So I've got the different results, to-dos, opportunity stages. And again, if I wanted to drill this down to just emails, I could actually just choose emails and just see emails in here. So this gets used a lot of times where people have Monday morning meetings. We'll just use that as a placeholder. Monday morning meetings, and they want to do a snapshot in their meeting. They call it a snapshot, or they can call it a postmortem, whatever you want to call it. And they look at the previous week and say, hey, what did we do? Did we miss anything? And if we did, let's create an activity for this week. And so they use it as a jumping point to anything that they've missed or need to discuss for the upcoming week. And so this is a great way of using this tool to be able to do that as well. Also, if you need to, because it is in a list format, you can dump this into Excel. So if you ever wanted to put it into an Excel document for whatever reason, you have the ability to do that. Any questions so far, Jared, popping up?
No questions so far.
Do you have any comments on what I've covered so far?
No, it's good. I like it. It's very helpful to have the different customizable columns too when you're looking up, because sometimes it might be a specific thing you're looking for in the history. So it's definitely good to know that even under each thing you can go from the newest to oldest, like in time, the date it was entered in, or
and that's similar in the task list for things that are coming up. I always add in scheduled for, scheduled by, so I can see if somebody scheduled something for me, or if I scheduled something for someone else, I can actually see that in here. So I always add these two fields from a going forward view on the task list. So
smart.
All right. Well, we'll just continue on then. So now we have, I'm going to do another place to find those searches, and then we're going to actually show you a few other things that does get collected from a history standpoint. So again, I would use this maybe for your meetings. I would use on the contact record, maybe you're trying to find something that was in the past that you need to drill down. Maybe it's an email. And sometimes it's a pain in the butt trying to find well, where was that email? It was like they were talking, the client's talking about an email that was done 8 months ago. Okay, now I got to find this, and it is attached, so I want to go find this. And you can definitely do that. But the nice thing is you can filter it down so you can get to it quickly, and that's really the name of the game, right? A little bit of a productivity. They have another place here called search, and this can search a number of different things. You can put just a word in here, or a phrase, or a numbers, whatever it is you want, and this will search again for any historical stuff or any upcoming things. So in here, I can choose a bunch of different components in here. I can search based on contacts, groups, companies, opportunities, activities, so stuff that's coming up in the future, or I can just say histories, right? I can put a history in here and say I want to look for histories, and I can search by, let's say, Todd Miller. And what it'll do is when it search, it'll bring up a whole list of stuff with Todd Miller. Now, this is probably not the best search because it's just saying regarding Todd Miller. So, and maybe I want to search for something specific in a history, like, I don't know. Do we have anything? No, nothing under the word widget. But this is another place that you can actually search for. It even has marketing automation emails that have went out. You can search on that. You can search on all dates or specific dates. Unfortunately, they don't have a custom date range in here. It's just based on all today and the next up to 30 days on your search parameters here. But just keep in mind that you do have this to be able to search historical items. Now, the other thing I want to show you on from historical items is this campaign results if you're using Act Marketing Automation. And if you're not using Act Marketing Automation, I highly recommend using Act Marketing Automation. It is fantastic. There's a lot of stuff that you can pull in as you're communicating with your clients, and whether it's a few emails or a bunch of emails, it's highly recommended that you do. And you all have access to the basic. Now, the basic is basic, but you all have access to that. Yes. Oh, Natalie's awesome. She says it's amazing. It is amazing. Yeah, it truly is. And Natalie is a pro user. Let's take it up a notch. She's an expert user in it. She does some marvelous stuff that she sends out to her client base, and she does a fantastic job. But the other thing is you have these campaign results tab that will actually show you for that individual all the stuff that has gone out, how many clicks, how many opens they did. And if I scroll over to the right here, it'll show you here. And you can customize these columns as well, whether they subscribed, unsubscribed, bounced. All of this different information is right there, so you can track what they've done. Now, just like the activities for this particular contact, I can view it just based on that individual. I can also view it based on a whole bunch that was sent out, just like the history in the history list on the navigation bar. And there's an add-in that you can get, and if you have a paid version of the Act Marketing Automation, you get this free. If you've got the basic, I think, Jared, isn't it $29 annual subscription for the campaign manager? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, that is correct per user. So
yeah,
it's just one person's $29.
Yeah, and you may not need everybody to have, unless everybody wants to.
Whoever's the marketing person would need one.
Yeah, typically. Yeah, typically. Okay. So the marketing campaign, or campaign results, which is part of the marketing campaign, which has a few things besides this view. It also has where you can do Bright Verify to verify emails and stuff like that. This shows up, and then you have all the campaigns that you have here, and it will list all the people who showed up for that particular campaign. It will give you a graph here. It'll show you what was sent out, and then you've got the people here. And the nice thing with this is you can dump this list into Excel, or I can just highlight this list, right mouse click, and pull up the contacts, and it will actually pull those contacts out, and I can shoot an email off and say, hey, thanks for showing up, or whatever it is you want to do. If it was like you were having an event and the email, they opened the email however you want, whatever your strategy is, and there can be a plethora of strategies that you could use for this. But that's another way of using information. Oh, I went into the wrong one. I went into marketing automation. I have to go in there anyway, so I'm going to show you some stuff in there too. So the campaign results shows you an overall view of this, and it's handy. I love this because I can just get a quick view. The other way is going into the ACT marketing automation, and then what you'd have to do is view it based on campaign results. So you have to go to each campaign. It does have a dashboard where you have an overall dashboard for campaigns, and it will show a whole bunch of different things with some graphs. This is if you've ever used what is it, Google Analytics. It can be as complicated as Google Analytics. So if you haven't used Google Analytics, it's similar to that in how it works, and Google Analytics is great. But we're doing a workshop in May that we're going to be going through detailed stuff. It's a paid workshop, and for those who are interested, we will be going into details of all of these dashboards and using AMA, right and wrong, and we're going to be getting into some more of a deep dive into that for those who want to get to really want to kick up their connection, their relationships with their contacts.
Hey, Gary, we got a good question. I was wondering if you might be able to answer. So obviously, Histories in ACT record almost everything you do in ACT. But what about if it's linked to your Outlook? We got a question that's from Richard. He was asking, connecting Outlook calendar to ACT calendar. If you clear the appointment in Outlook, will it show the appointment history in the ACT if you do it that way?
No.
No?
No. And you're better to, I know some organizations or some individuals and organizations have their feet in both camps. They'll be in ACT, but they'll spend a lot of time. They'll use the contacts and they'll use the activity, the calendar in Outlook. If you're using ACT, use the calendar in ACT because it links to a contact. Outlook is what we call a free-form calendar. It doesn't. You're not linking it to a contact. You're linking it. It's just free-form. So when you clear an activity, it doesn't create a history, and it can't drive that history if you could to ACT. But ACT, if you're in ACT and you clear the history, it's linked to somebody. Where Outlook isn't, it's linked to somebody, and then when you clear it, it creates a history. And so you're better off, I would encourage you, unless you've got a really unique use case, I'd encourage you to kind of clear activities and manage your calendar more in ACT than I would in Outlook. Now, if you don't like the Outlook calendar or the ACT calendar the way it is natively, let me know. I'll make sure you get this modern looking one that kind of looks like Outlook, which maybe is a little more palatable for you. So again, no, it can't, and I wouldn't try to do it that way and push it back there. I would try to use the ACT calendar as much as possible, unless you've got a unique use case, and that may be it for you.
That's very good to know.
Any other questions?
No specific questions. No. It's
Okay.
definitely very powerful. I guess there's a lot of different, just like you were saying, Google Analytics, you can get a lot of information thrown at you in terms of not only results from the marketing, if you do email marketing, but just, information from your database history.
Yeah. Yeah, and the key here is recognizing that your system is creating history. It's creating it in different areas for different reasons, and then really, I would highly recommend that in your meetings that you have, your corporate meetings, have that on your agenda. ACT should always be on your agenda anyway. There should be if you're meeting every week, we meet every week. You should have ACT on your agenda, and then have different specific things that you want to talk about, like how do we use this or how do we do that, so you're better improving it. But one of this should be on the conversations is the strategic use of ACT and saying, okay, we've got all this history. And here's a good one. Here's a really good one. Jared and I talked about this the other day, and I think this may be beneficial to a lot of you, especially if you're going to be doing any kind of managing of your clients. And it kind of goes like this. I'm going to pull up Todd Miller here. Todd Miller. Let's pull up Toddy Miller. All right. So in here, if I go to, and this could be in different, this is going to be in different places depending upon your layout structure, but all of them have this create date, edit date, last edited by. These are system fields. And you can use this historical date. So you can see on this record, the last person that edited it was Gary, and it was done on April 8th. And this was created in 2010, this particular record. And you can see all the information. So how can we leverage this? This is I'm going to give you a good use case for just this historical stuff where the system fields are updated based on your usage of ACT. So I'm going to go over to groups, and I'm going to create a new group. And we're going to call this, let's go 000 dot test. So that'll put it right at the top. I got to spell test right. And I'm just going to save that. And it's going to put right at the top here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some contacts to this group. Now, when I pull this up, again, we're going to use the dynamic membership because it uses fields. And so in here, I'm going to go over to the contact field. I'm going to go over to field name. I'm going to go into edit date. And let's scroll down. Edit date, there we are. And what I want to use for an operator. Now, depending upon what you want to do. So let's just say I want to find all the people that I've communicated with in the last year because I want to send an email blast out to. And you have to be careful. I mean, obviously, you're going to drill this down based on email address and stuff like that. But I'm just going to show you some basics here. We're going to add groups into another Friday, live Friday, casual Friday content. But in here, I'm going to say that I want to find all the clients. I can do two ways. I can reverse this one of two ways. I want to find all the people I haven't talked to in a year, or I want to find all the people that I have communicated with in the year. What are the scenarios? I want to pull up all the people that were in the, say, last 6 months to a year because I want to send an email blast out to. Anybody further than that, maybe in big trouble under this castle consent, is making sure that they qualify. I may have to go and ask permission to send to them. But if I want to find all the people from a year past saying, hey, we haven't connected with these people, we may lose them. So we may have clients that we haven't even talked to. So let's use that scenario first. So we're going to go in here and say, I want to find anyone on or after, actually on or before, that's what we want. On or after would be on a specific date and then after that. So if I said December 31st, 2020 and go forward. So I'm just going to key in, and you can just use the date like, I'm going to go 01/01/2020. 2021. There we go. Add to list. So in this database, I want to find all the people that I haven't touched since, or that haven't touched since this particular date. I'm going to go preview, and there's only 5. And press OK, because I've been messing around with the whole database. But these particular people, if I pick up Billy the Kid here, you'll see here, last edit date was October 8th, 2020. So now I've got a list of people, and maybe these are clients that you haven't touched before. I can remember sitting in on a meeting with salespeople a number of years ago, and I sat down with them and I said, I got their accounting department to pull up a list, and I pulled up and I said, whose account is this? And somebody said, put up their hand and said, yeah, that's my account. And I said, when was the last time you were in there and seen them? And he said, oh yeah, it must have been a couple of months ago. Well, they did logs for when they contacted people. We went back and hadn't touched that person in over a year. And so sometimes we think we've connected with them, but a lot of times we haven't. And so if you don't have a strategy in constantly connecting with them somehow, and that's why the ACT marketing automation is a good idea, then how many clients are you actually using in the course of the year that are going over to the competition because they're being looked after? So just keep that in mind as you're using that this is a really good way of pulling up the people you haven't talked to. So that's one use case. You sit down in your group, come up with some strategies where you can look at history, whether it's the create date field or the edited date field, or other fields of information that change, or any historical items in the history list, and use that to leverage some sort of communication or follow up or strategy that you want to put in place. Any questions out there? I've rambled.
Let's see. Don't see any more questions since last we spoke.
Okay. So if you want to, where is it? There it is. If you want to get a hold of, if you're interested in the campaign manager program, or you want to be on the subscribe list for the emails that go out, you can get a hold of Jared at csr@corelogix.ca, and he'd be happy to add you to our list.
Absolutely.
And we can go from there. Any comments, any questions on anything that's maybe even relevant to what we've just talked about?
Well, we could give a second to see if people respond to something. It's definitely cool to see how powerful the database can be in terms of looking up when's the last you talked to somebody. A lot of times, I don't know when the last time I spoke to particular content or clients, and depending on your industry, it might just be once a year. If it's sort of like insurance or something or other things, it's like, and it might be a good idea to touch base with them. I know for me with
I only hear from my insurance person when the renewal comes up. I don't hear from them before. Well, they could probably get more business out of me if they contacted me, more often.
That is true. It's just it's powerful because a lot of times you forget, especially if you have a ton of people that you're having to deal with, and let's say somebody calls in, you can pull up that record and start scanning through the history to see what you did last and know where you last left off, and that way you're a little ahead of the game. When you get a call or when you're about to go into a meeting with somebody, you're like, exactly, I can work on something with them, and because we all got too many things going on these days.
Well, we seem to be in reactionary mode, right? We're constantly just go, and we never take a pause, pull out the compass, and am I going down the right track? And that means looking backwards and saying, what did we miss? What are we looking for here?
Very true. Very true.
So Natalie says here, we're planning to use the client since field. That's a good one. And you can, and I like that, Natalie, where you can use that as a tool to reach out to your clients. You can create your own fields. When was the last time you connected? And you can create your own date fields if you wish. You don't have to use the system ones. And if somebody's updating those fields, then that just makes it a lot easier for you to look at past ones. And I know in the financial advisor industry, they will say, well, when was the last KYC or review call or what have you, and they could use those dates, and which makes it a lot easier. All active clients with 1 year or less, we send out a thank you for joining us. Yeah, these are touch points that are just so important to do that. So, and it doesn't matter which industry you're in. We all are building relationships with clients, and how often are we touching base with them and connecting with them, and working with them to keep that relationship going and let them know that, hey, we're still interested and we're still with you and all those good things.
Yeah, even with like new clients too, you could have it flag like after a month of it being created to send out a welcome newsletter, a welcome to, thank you for your business, a welcome to this product or this thing, which is just a good way to stay in touch and stay connected with.
And that's the nice thing with the marketing automation part. depending upon which tier you're at, you can use those date fields or different, or even fields to trigger something happening where they get stuff out, and you don't have to think about it. It just automatically sends that out, and that is a really good idea, Jared. I like that.
Well, that's the nice stuff because it's hard to remember all those little things that really can help grow your business or just retain your customers, or, stay in touch so they feel like, that you care and that you're, connected with them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and we're all busy. We're all just swamp busy, and I get that. But if you can take the time to kind of just think about that, that's why I think if you could have ACT on your agenda where you actually talk about strategic things, and if you need help with that, reach out to us. I mean, we deal with hundreds and hundreds of clients on an annual basis with different strategies that they're invoking, and maybe something that we've learned that other people are doing may help you. You never know. I think we've kind of gone over a little bit. We try to stay within 30 minutes, but sometimes we go a little over.
Oh, well.
But long as this information helps you, that's what this is all about. This is about helping you. And Jared, thank you so much for being my wingman and
No problem, boss.
and kind of going through all this stuff with me. And thank you for all the comments, Natalie. You're awesome. I appreciate your comments in there. The rest of you guys who were on, the rest of you guys, don't be shy. You got to be like Natalie and put your comments or thoughts or questions or whatever. Put them out there. We're happy to answer them. Thanks, Susan. Appreciate that. Yeah, Susan. Let's pop Susan up on the screen here. There she is.
Oh, yes.
And Scott. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you lots. All right, guys. Have yourself a great rest of your Friday and have an awesome weekend. And we'll have something for you next week. Not sure if we're doing the webinar next week or if we're doing a live stream, but we will be
one or the other.
One or the other.
Yep.
And
are you reading comments there?
There we are. Yeah. It'll be saved for a later replay. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and thank you for that, Richard. Appreciate that because you can always come back. These are all recorded on the YouTube channel, so you can always can just come back to the channel, and we're going to be adding. We haven't had a chance. We've been so busy. We're going to be adding just videos where they haven't been streamed or they haven't been in a webinar, and we're going to be putting those up. Fairly soon here. We're going to be just adding just videos, and we'll let you know when those pop up, and then we can kind of go from there. All right, everyone, have yourself a great week. We'll have something for you next week. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.